Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this rather dull bank holiday weekend. But no, I do appreciate everyone that's joined. It is good to give you all an update on where we are with all things Working Southwest. We have had some exciting news. Firstly, I will start with, which is our Footbridge, St John's Footbridge, finally opened, which was absolutely fantastic. And we had a good turnout of residents that came to attend. Actually, we took whilst I was there, we took a short video. So if we play the video, then I'll maybe talk to it a bit more. But for those residents that haven't walked along there, weren't able to be there on the opening day, we did shoot a short video. So let's play that. I am just by the St John's Bridge, which, as you can see, is finally open. We had so many residents here earlier. Really great to see so many of you here. We had lots of children walking across the bridge and, of course, picking up their sticker. Fantastic to be able to walk across from both ends. I've had lots of feedback from residents, just small snagging issues that need improvement, which of course I'll write to Network Rail and get those sorted out. So many residents were saying that the bridge is so important because it's really about the quality of life, the ability to be able to walk across with your dogs in the morning or taking children to school. So I'm so pleased this has finally been delivered and all of our hard work has paid off. Yeah, so certainly, I think all of us worked really hard to keep on top of trying to get that bridge delivered. I think Network Rail, our constant pestering of Network Rail seems to have worked, and it was just so lovely to be able to walk across there. And although we didn't have, I did speak to Network Rail and say, look, are you going to have a kind of inauguration opening ceremony? And they said, well, we don't usually do those. So what I did was get some small stickers made for anybody that was walking along the bridge that late afternoon, and give it to the children, who absolutely loved those stickers. And I've still got quite a few left. So if you were not there and you wanted I've walked over the St John's Bridge sticker, then please do drop me an email and I'd be happy to get one to you, because I've got quite a few left over. But yeah, no, I'm just so pleased that bridge is open. And as I mentioned, it really does, kind of improve our quality of life to be able to get across from Heath to St John's and vice versa, when we're walking our dogs or cycling or whatever it might be. And also, just residents mentioned a few kind of snagging issues in terms of the bridge, which I've written to Network Rail about, try and get those improved. So it was useful, certainly, to get feedback from residents about those issues and about the bridge, and hopefully Network Rail will pick up those snagging issues, because there's always when you get a project like that, or any kind of building work, really, there's always a few snagging issues. So thank you to residents for mentioning those, and I have written to Network Rail and try and get those resolved. But yeah, no, we certainly are thrilled to have that bridge open. And if you haven't had a chance to go along and walk over the bridge, then please do take the opportunity, because it is lovely. It's a vast improvement on what we had previously. So well done to everybody on the Footbridge. And then I'm going to move from a delivery of a huge bridge to something slightly smaller, which is the St John's Hill manhole cover. So I think I mentioned that maybe at the last surgery that I did, at the last Facebook Live, which was basically that we had to, if you've driven along St John's Hill Road, you would have heard it. If you've driven along there or walked along there, it was really loose. Every time you went over it, it made this really kind of quite harsh, penetrating sound, and it was really affecting all of the residents living along there. So a lot of them contacted Surrey County Council and didn't get the response I think that they should have. And then I chased it up and chased it up and then chased it up again. And then finally we've got that delivered. It took, honestly, it took longer than what we would have hoped. It took about, I think, 5 to 6 weeks, which is way too long for the delivery, for actually just tightening a manhole cover. But that's how long it took, because there was the traffic management system that Surrey County Council had to use, which always takes much longer. But I have to say, have done a good job in fixing that now. And hopefully residents living nearby will now be having a slightly more peaceful night's sleep, because it really was quite a grating sound. So that's another one that's been completed, but I thought I would just update everybody that has now been done, because I do like to use these kind of just to update you on all the niggling issues that I've been able to help resolve. And then we move along to Hook Hill Lane. So Hook Hill Lane has had quite a bit of work done. We have had repatching work done on it, fixing all the worst bits. And then at the top of Hook Hill Lane, we had it been closed actually for about, I think it was about between 8 and 10 days, where Thames Water had closed it off to try and get to grips with the excess water, the water leakage that is happening just outside a number of properties along Hook Hill Lane, and then it drips all the way down. So that top end of the lane is in a terrible state. And the reason that resurfacing hasn't been done is because we've got the water leakage. And once that water issue has been fixed, then we'll get to the resurfacing of that. Now, Network Rail, I'm still saying Network Rail. Thames Water, so the top of that bit of Hook Hill Lane, there's the higher end is Thames Water are responsible for it, and then the bottom end toward near Mount Road is Affinity Water. So there's two different water agencies involved with trying to get that bit fixed. Thames Water were the ones who closed the lane. They have fixed the water leakage that was outside Mimosa. That looks kind of done, but the slightly bottom end past Mimosa is Affinity Water, and they are the ones that are going to be looking at that bit of the leakage. So it's still, I'm afraid, work in progress. It hasn't been completed. So if you see excess water there, that's because Affinity Water is responsible for that bit, and they will be looking to, again, try and get that fixed. And as soon as that's done, then we'll look at resurfacing. But then, of course, yes, so thank you. That photo is actually if you go over the bridge, and we've had some resurfacing. So if you, I mean, those of us that drive along there, we know that there's a slight, massive potholes at the side, which really affects our car, especially if you've got a car that's quite low down. It really dips in, and we've had a bit of patching work done there, which is great. But then, as you can see where I'm standing, that bit was left undone, which really I wasn't very impressed with, which is why my pose kind of explains that to some extent. So I've written again to Surrey County Council and say, look, you've done 2 bits of patching work, which is great, but you've left quite a bit undone, and I don't quite understand why they've done that. So I've written to them to ask for an explanation as to why that's been left that way, because it shouldn't have been, and to actually come back and fill out those few huge potholes, I would say, that have been left in that state. So that again is work in progress. And then just to mention where we are in terms of Hook Hill Lane, and because I have spoken about getting some kind of speed mitigation or speed reduction along there, because the lane is a small lane, it's at a gradient, and you do occasionally have cars kind of speeding along there, and a lot of residents that use it, especially if they're walking, which they are if you're walking your dog, or anything else, it is quite dangerous. So I have asked officers to look at the speed along there, which will be done by a speed survey. And once those results come in, then we'll look at what speed kind of reduction measures, speed bumps or whatever we might be able to put along there, just to make it a bit safer for pedestrians and just to slow down cars going along there. So that again is work in progress. So lots happening on Hook Hill Lane. I should mention that the ditches on at the bottom have now been cleaned just by the railway bridge, which aren't Surrey County Council owned ditches, but I think I mentioned previously the Surrey County Council has written to the landowners to get those cleaned, and they have now been done. So we hopefully shouldn't be getting too much gathering of or accumulation of water along the bottom by the traffic lights. So I am keeping on top of Hook Hill Lane, even though it's a small road, but lots happening on there. And then we are going to move along to, can't read my own handwriting there, move along to Holywell. So this is Hookheath Road, just outside Holywell, the development, the properties, apartments that are called Holywell, just along there, where actually I had a number of residents write to me about something that they were quite concerned with. But I was along there talking to residents and did a short video, which I'll play now, so that those of you that don't know the area know what I'm talking about, and then I'll talk to it afterwards. So let's play the video.
Hi, I'm Aisha Azad. I'm on Hookheath Road, just by Holywell. So a number of residents have written to me about a situation. So if you imagine you're on a mobility scooter, or perhaps are pushing a buggy or pushing a wheelchair, there is no drop curb anywhere along the length of this to be able to get across to the other side. So this is the only drop curb all the way along here. You've got cars coming from all angles. So what I've asked is for the County Council to put a drop curb just along here. You might see some markings just along here. So the drop curb would go here on this side and then across the other side, so that anybody on a mobility scooter or on a wheelchair, being pushed on a wheelchair, and perhaps a buggy, can get across easily. So this is something that's going to be implemented over the next few months. As soon as I have an update on when that work will be done, I will of course let you know.
So yeah, that's the situation with that bit of Hookheath Road and Holywell. So I mean, that T junction, those of us that use it, we know how busy that can get. You've got cars coming from all angles. You've got cars at Pond Road and Hollybank Road and Hook Hill Lane, going along the length of Hookheath Road. So that T junction is very busy. And if you imagine you are being pushed on a wheelchair or on a mobility scooter, and you've got no place to actually get across the other side but that actual T junction, then that's very, very dangerous, and I would say quite intimidating for to be in that situation. So the drop curve will be a bit further down, making it much accessible, much easier, and to be able to get across. I haven't got a date for when that will be done, but hopefully it'll be done over the next few months. And as soon as I have a date, then of course I will update you. But thank you to residents. It was actually a resident in Holywell who wrote to me about it. So thank you for getting in touch with me and letting me know about that situation. It's really helpful, and that's really what I'm here for. If there's any other situation similar or different in any shape or form that you're concerned about, that you think I might be able to help or make a difference or implement something, then please, do get in touch. You're welcome to, come along to this session and speak to me about it. Or if not, of course, you can always write to me or get in touch with me via my Facebook page. Always happy to hear anything that I can help with. So that is Holywell done. And then just to mention, so the parking review for 24-25 has now completed. It's getting there. I think most of the measures that were due to be done are now being implemented, if I understand correctly. And so it's 20. So when I say 24-25, it means it starts in 2024. So it started in April 2024, and then the implementation is now as in 2025. If you, and I know a few residents did write to me about it and say that they missed last year's parking review. When will the next year's be? Because they want a few issues addressed on their area. So the next parking review, as in 25-26, will start in September. The actual date that it starts, I will let you know. I will do a short video or a post and let you know that it started. And then you can at that point write or get involved directly. There's an actual link that you have to fill in directly going to Surrey County Council, where you describe the problem, you send in some pictures, and then that gets logged as a parking review issue that needs to be looked at by officers. And then your neighbours get a chance also to comment on the situation that you've put forward, so that everybody's involved in trying to fix the issue. So that will start in September, and hopefully those of you that have missed on this year's, you will be able to get involved in next year. So do you want to mention? Sorry, I'm just going to have a read because it says it also. So yeah, that I will let you know as soon as that begins, and we'll pick it up from then. And then our next meeting actually is 25th of May, around about the same time. So please do join me. If in the meantime there is anything else that I can help with, then please do get in touch. And if there's any issue that you wanted to pick up with me, then yeah, just please get in touch, and always happy to listen and talk to you about anything that you're concerned about. So thank you for joining me this afternoon, and hopefully I will see you. I will be out and about next week after the bank holiday. So if you see me, do come and say hello. Otherwise, I will see you on the 25th. Thank you. Bye.